just 4 wins away from winning the Premier League title after second-placed Arsenal were held to a 1-1 draw by Everton at Goodison Park. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta opted to drop Jurrien Timber, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Martinelli to the bench in a bid to keep his key players fresh for Tuesday's Champions League clash with Real Madrid. Raheem Sterling and Leandro Trossard were among those who came into the side, with the pair combining for the latter to give Arsenal a half-time lead at Goodison Park.
Settle for a point here. What did you make of your team's performance?
Well, especially with the result, very unhappy. Very tough place to come. A team that is very physical, very direct. If you don't deal with direct play constantly well, you never get any momentum. So it's very difficult. We went ahead to finally find more control and try to, from there, generate more chances and do that. But the start of the second half was very poor. So we give the ball away. We are just insecure what we do one with the other, and then the decision of the penalty comes, and it's for me never a penalty, but we take it from there.
How frustrating was the timing of conceding the penalty as well?
Yeah, really bad, because the game just started in the second half. You want to generate now certain momentum, especially going ahead, because they need to start to be much more aggressive, and so it's very disappointing that from not generating anything we just concede a goal.
7 league games left, but this is your 11th draw of the season. Is that ultimately what's cost you in the title race this season?
Yeah, for sure. You have to win many more games, especially when there is a team that constantly is winning.
I know that the big game on Tuesday is going to be on your mind now, but getting a lot of minutes into players' legs today was also important, and coming away with a clean bill of health. Have you managed to do that from today's match?
Yeah, that's all good, but we wanted the 3 points, and you want to get everything in the way you plan it, and we did a lot of good things in the game. We managed to give minutes to a lot of players as well and rest some players, but we missed 2 points.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Do you see that as a good point after going behind in the game?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Obviously, we lost earlier this week, and we needed to turn things around today, get a good result, and I think we did that today.
It must feel so good for you to be back starting in this team after your time out injured and back on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, it felt great. I wanted to give the penalty to Beto, but I thought I had it in me to get back on the score sheet. But yeah, I'm very happy to be back.
It was a great start to the second half. What did the manager say at half-time? Because you seemed to come out with so much more energy and you could feel the crowd get behind you.
Yeah, obviously we wasn't good enough in the first half, but he's come in the change room and told us to change, told us stop, let's go out and turn things around, and everyone be at it, everyone put more into it, and obviously we try and turn things around, and we did.
Just 3 league games left at Goodison Park now. How important is it for you players to end the season on a high here for these Everton fans?
Yeah, I think it's important, and I think it's very exciting too. The more we're playing games here, the less there is. We want to give everything for our fans, that have been here a long time and seen everything here. We just want to finish with hopefully all wins for the last 3 games.
Well done today. Thank you for talking to us. Appreciate it.
So, Ndiaye talking about the fact that was a good point for Everton, especially considering they were down at half-time and needed a reaction after losing the Merseyside derby in midweek. But for Arsenal, it means more drop points, and it gives Liverpool an opportunity to stretch that lead when they take on Fulham tomorrow. They could be 14 points ahead of the Gunners come the end of this weekend. What did you make of his reaction to the result?
Yeah, I agreed with quite a lot of what he said. I thought it was great to have him back. I think when you see some of his moments on the ball, he is definitely what Everton have been lacking in his absence. Someone that can drop a shoulder, that can excite the crowd, that scares the opposition. So, yeah, he's gonna get better in the next few weeks as he gets fitter, but great to have him back. Great to have him taking the penalty kick. And I think it was right, we were talking, Everton were way off the pace in the first half. And if you're 1-0 down to a team like Arsenal at half-time, getting a point out of that is going to be a good result. So, yeah, didn't play as well, could have done better, but, you'll walk away happy with that point in the end.
Yeah, and as he reminded us, was his first start since February. He has been out injured. Let's look at the incident that led to the penalty. It came very soon after the break. I know you two are divided here. So who wants to start?
There's so much, when you look at, I think obviously there's some contact there. I don't know where that contact came from to get up. Maybe that's why he's actually got up, but think Kiwior's got to do a lot more. He's got to come back and take control of that header and get it out of the danger area. But like, it's just when you look here, you just think like, I don't know what Lewis Skelly, obviously he's older than him, we can see that. But I can't, you're saying something to do with there, or I don't think that's enough.
Well, look,
of course I'm going to say that as well, you know what I mean?
There's a definite tussle, isn't there? And,
yeah, there, I'm trying to think where it is there.
I just think, look, from the referee's angle, there's enough for that to be a foul. It's a foul outside the box. It's going into the penalty area. It's going to be a foul. I certainly didn't think there was enough to say that there wasn't contact or anything like that. Couldn't have been overruled. So it's good to see after the last 2 penalty kicks Everton have got at Goodison Park have both been overturned on VAR. So it was glad. I'm sure the fans in the stadium were a bit nervous going into that 3rd one, but you know, from an Everton point of view, glad that it stood. Although, yeah, it was. I can't pretend it wasn't a soft penalty or an easy penalty in the modern day game. Yeah. It was.
It's one of those. If they don't give it, we could be saying the same thing. We've seen penalties like that given. We can say that, but like, if we're going to be this, we're going to be this stringent on giving stuff like this, then we've got to be like that on everything. That's what
we were talking. We were talking at half time, weren't we, about strikers going down. We talking Trossard, and not in a bad way, just in the sense of you have to earn your penalty kicks. There's no point in staying up. Make the referee make a decision, and he did that.
Yeah, so VAR deemed the contact to have been sufficient inside the penalty area. The reason why I was laughing is because you said we were talking about strikers going down easily, and Wright had actually said that Trossard was going, was hurdling when perhaps he should have.
It's one of those, but again, you see, when you look at Lewis Skelly's one there and the way that he went down, you know as a player now, if you're playing, you go down, they're going to have a look. And what we've seen at the standard of they could give that, and we saw that there, could give that. Just like the start of the game, that tackle on Wanyeri, you're thinking to yourself, that's a red card. Now, I don't see them saying about, the danger in that challenge. I don't see anything like that. You know, when you look at this challenge, you're thinking to yourself, they can look at that penalty and say all that rules with the fancy words and stuff. But look at this challenge. Over the ball, endangering an opponent. And so what are they going to say about that not being a red card? It's just like, it's pathetic, the inconsistency.
Leon?
Yeah, I can see his frustration. I didn't think it was quite a red card. I'm surprised it wasn't a yellow card. I will say that. I was surprised it wasn't a yellow card.
Do you think he endangered him with the way he went in?
It was definitely aggressive. He missed the ball. A couple of minutes into the game of your first start for 2 years, nearly enough for Patterson. Maybe the referee gave him the benefit of the doubt in that one. That doesn't help Ranieri in a situation when he's out of control. Yes, it was probably a yellow card, but yeah, it was frustration for both sets of players today. They tried, they weren't good enough to unlock the opposition. Defences were on top, and when they weren't, it was poor at the top end of the field. Neither team could find the right pass. They were sloppy at times, giving goals away. So, yeah, a level of frustration all round.
So we showed you the incident, Miles Lewis Skelly versus Harrison, that led to the penalty. Let's show you the actual spot kick now from Iliman Ndiaye. And he sent Raya the wrong way.
Yeah, really good penalty. I can't pretend I wasn't a little bit nervous as he was standing over it, but he's been quite assured. He's putting them in corners, sending keepers the wrong way. He goes early, Raya, doesn't he?
Yeah, when you look, I saw something the other day with David Wright on the penalties, and he seems to be taking this massive leap to one side, which is almost like giving the penalty taker, if we saw it's giving the penalty taker so much time to say, well, he's definitely going that way. I've seen him penalties being taken against him recently, where he's continually going the wrong way, and I think that he's I don't know, he's forming trying to save him. I think it's wrong simply because he's going so far. He's making such a commitment to that side.
He's giving himself a really good chance of saving it. That side, but he's giving up the centre.
He's giving it up because, like, when you're, especially if you've got a longer run up, you can actually see him when you're like a yard off away from the ball before you watch him. Watch, look, he's gone. It's like. Ndiaye, he's like, look, he's gone.
Outside the goal frame, doesn't
he? He's actually not kicked the ball yet, and David Raya has taken 2 steps to his right. That's going to give you. You're going to see that when you're running up. You can see he's committed to that side, and that's the only thing I look at and worries me with the penalties being taken against us at the minute.
Now we have a little clip here because you were confused when the penalty was awarded. You seem to think it was in Arsenal's favour. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, he's give it.
Yay! Louis! Oh my God, I thought that was Arsenal getting a penalty. Yeah, confusion there. And that's what should happen, children. Make sure you're paying attention and not on your phone.
And understand that the team's turned round at half-time. Yeah, make sure you understand that part as well, yeah.
I didn't hear enough cheer. And so when I heard a cheer, all I heard was Miles Lewis-Skelly's name. So I thought, yes, we've got a penalty. But hey, that's the way it goes.
Well, and I could hear it in my earpiece.
Did you hear me?
I was running down and just ran quicker to see because I thought it was a goal the way you celebrated.
Yes.
But yeah, it's the yeah and the no. Yeah. So reaction from Ian Wright then. Let's hear reaction from Leandro Trossard, who scored Arsenal's goal. Here he is.
Leandro, how do you see the point you've taken here today?
I think it's a tough one because I think in general we played well, but it's just how we started the second half wasn't good enough, how we conceded that penalty, and then, you know, it's a really tough place to come and to score that first goal and go in front is good, but then you have to put the game to bed, and that's what we lacked today.
It looked like a really physical battle out there. How did you find it?
Yeah, for sure. I think always when you come to this place, it's a physical battle. It's their strength as well, and I felt like the second half we played too much into their game instead of playing ours, and I think that's what we lacked.
You took your goal well, though. It must feel good to get back on the score sheet, and you had an opportunity to get a second in the second half. Was that the frustration that you just couldn't find that second goal?
Yeah, it was. It's always nice to be on the score sheet, of course. Unlucky we didn't win, but yeah, in the second half I tried to create more and try to get a second to get the team even to get that breather. But it's a tough place to come, and I think we can learn from that as well. We have a big game in a couple of days, so we need to focus on that now.
Yeah, I was going to say, how quickly do your minds turn to Real Madrid on Tuesday?
Yeah, we have to review this one, and then all the focus is on the next game, and that's a great game for us. Everyone is really excited for that one, so we're up for it.
Here today, though, it does make it an 11th draw in the Premier League this season. Is that ultimately what's cost you in the title race this season? Just too many draws?
Yeah, of course. If you don't win enough games, you're not there, and we lack that this season. Obviously, we all know the history of what we've had with injuries as well, but we don't want to have too many excuses, and that's how it is. Now we have to focus on the game on Tuesday, and we go full gas there.
Thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Just looking at the last 6 Premier League results and their 3 draws in it, 11 overall. Is that really what's cost them?
Yeah, I think so. And of those 11 draws, they've led in 6 of those games. That's 12 points that they've let slip away, which, if you talk about the difference in the title race, is an awful lot. The teams that are going for the title don't lose from winning positions. There's just a real assurance that once we get that goal ahead, the 3 points are pretty much sorted, and I felt that's the way Arsenal sort of felt going ahead. And then at half-time, you thought that's it. The way Ian thought it was just like the hard part is getting ahead in the games against Everton. Then you can't give goals away. You can't let points slip through your fingers. You know, I remember, so I think there was a Brighton game earlier in the season. There's been quite a few, and yeah, that's ultimately been the difference.
Yeah, so Arsenal 11 points behind Liverpool, who play tomorrow, could be 14 by the end of the weekend. Is that it for you? Title gone?
You know, as a fan, and you can't, while it's not mathematically impossible, you just have to keep hanging in. But you can't really sit here and feel like Arsenal, especially when you saw today the lack of quality in the final third, especially in the first half. You can't really sit here and honestly believe that you're going to be able to catch Liverpool in the current climate. I could totally imagine if you were scoring goals and you're winning games and you're close, but we're not close enough without the quality in the final third at the moment. So, you know, it's a tough one. It's tough, and it's very hard for me to say we're out of it. But, like, you know, it's maybe a bridge too far.
Yeah, I mean, you think about when teams have come back from the deficits that also don't have the momentum at the moment. You think about Manchester City when they've come back and overturned deficits. They've had the momentum. They're getting better. You know, it's assured that they're going to win their games. Everyone else best be at it and not lose as well. Well, you just don't get that feeling about any of the chasing pack. And so Liverpool have got themselves into a wonderful position.
Yeah, it leaves Arsenal's only hope with the Champions League. That means Tuesday is a huge game.
Yeah, it is. And everybody's known. I think that they'll be a little bit relieved of this game. It would have been nice even if they could have taken this game maybe 1-0, then you get on the coach now and you just relax and get ready for arguably the biggest game in some of those guys' careers. So, you know, it's something that it means so much to the club to try and win this game, but we know how tough this is going to be.
Absolutely. Well, that's just game one of match week 31.
Delighted, obviously the performance and the results have been good as well, which obviously helps it. But yeah, the last few games at Goodison are going to be enjoyed, and today was one of those days.
Martin, how do you think Mikel Arteta will feel about that point today? Will he be too bothered?
Do you know, I think he'd be disappointed at the start of the second half, the way that he allowed Everton back into the game. You can say it was a soft penalty, that's what they'll argue, but he would have expected to have won this game today, particularly when those two were coming on at half-time. We saw glimpses of Martinelli and again some good minutes, but, you know, Saka's had 73 minutes in 2 matches, no start now for a number of months. So it was about managing minutes. That's what it became. And it's a shame that they kind of find themselves in that situation. Of course, they would have wanted to still go after the title. But all in all, I think it was honours were even between the two teams. I think it was just about a fair result, really.
Their 11th draw this season, Martin. Only Everton have actually got more than them in the Premier League. Is that the real difference between them?
That's been the difference, yeah. I mean, there's games they were winning last year. You know, if you remember, they went on that incredible run, last 16 games, won 14, lost 1 and drawn 1. They weren't, you know, there was not many draws in there. This year, too many draws. And of course, hamstrung with, you know, injuries. Players are out in the final third, and I think that's really affected them. And they're looking at now that it's not the priority today, really. They're looking at other games, another competition, a huge competition, of course. And it's about, you know, preservation, really. And that's because the squad has got that bug of injuries, and they've had to make sure they just negotiate today's game. You know, credit to Everton. They come back way much better. Moyes it's a totally different Everton right now. 1 defeat in 11. You know, and you know, coming here now is now an okay result. You know, okay, Liverpool came here and won, and Arsenal needed to match that and weren't able to do so.
Can we just put that down to the injuries, Phil? Because they were leading in 7 of those 11 games that they've gone on to draw. Is that something that really has to be addressed?
Well, it is a valid excuse, if you like, but it's tough. A lot of people are pointing out that they didn't go and buy another striker, another number 9. But again, it's if everyone had obviously a clear ball to go and look what was going to happen, I'm sure they'd have signed someone. But it's tough. Liverpool have been fantastic as well. It's hard to go season after season after season to win, as Martin said, 14 of the last 16 games last season. That's not always as easy to do. So Arsenal will be frustrated, but they're going in the right direction. They're obviously in a Champions League game this next week. They're probably going to finish second in the league. It's nearly where they want to be, so I suppose there's positives there, but I'm sure if you're an Arsenal fan, you're just desperate to try and win that Premier League. It's been too long.
Let's have a look at the way Arsenal scored in that first half. Phil, just talk us through what went wrong from an Everton point of view in this.
Well, it was a story of the first half. They just made a couple of bad decisions on the ball, and it cost them the chances. But obviously between Jared and Adjuster here, there's got to be more communication. If Jared's probably not too sure, maybe, again in hindsight, it's fantastic from here, potentially not go for the header and drop off. And then obviously when Trossard gets it, you'd like to engage maybe a step or two sooner, potentially close your legs, which obviously allows Jordan then to know that the ball can't go across him into the back post. But you know, I'm saying this, I'm stood in the studio, it's really easy. I'm sure I've done that plenty of times myself. But
these are young, these are young defenders. And I think Braithwaite there, you know, it's one of those stay goal side. You learn that, don't you, eventually? You know, you have to learn the hard way. And then this one here, O'Brien, I think I've been really impressed with him, but there he's got to get up to the ball. Because, you know, as soon as that's away off and gone from Trossard, it's gone into the back of the net.
Trossard's done that on purpose. He's shifted it to the left to make the defender overstep, to shoot between your legs. It's a skill. I remember playing against Jermaine Defoe. That was his favourite goal ever. And again, Trossard did it. Fantastic skill from him to obviously drag it back through O'Brien's legs.
Yeah, it was a good finish. Let's have a look, Martin, then at the penalty that Arsenal conceded at the start of that second half. It was Miles Lewis-Skelly kind of bundled over Jack Harrison. What are your feelings on this?
I think initially, Lewis-Skelly maybe he doesn't really kind of get the flight of the ball, and he's trying to get his body in the way. But I don't believe there's enough contact there for a penalty, and it's very soft. Like, even there, I'm not sure where the contact is. You know, I can understand Harrison wants to go down. There's a tugging match here, and then is there any real contact?
Yeah, massive, Martin. You don't see it. No, come on, again, it looks sunshiny, but it is a little bit windy. Here's a penalty, obviously a fantastic finish from Illiman, but it is a little bit windy. It's like you say,
Skelly lost the flight of the ball, and that's the last thing you want. Just coming out from half-time, Arsene Wenger, Mikel Arteta would have said, let's not concede, let's control this game, and to give Everton the impetus to go into the second half and put Arsenal under pressure, which they did for most of the half.
What I would say, if I was working with the player, I was like, he uses his body brilliantly. It's one of his strengths. But there are occasions when you just have to go towards the ball, and that will be one of those where he'll look back and say, do you know what, maybe I should have just tried to clear it. But I'm not really sure he's made the foul there. But the referee, once the referee gives it, I don't think VAR is going against it. And the referee was found wanting a little bit today. Some very strange decisions. There was a couple of times the goalkeeper was being obstructed when he kicked it, and the referee didn't even see it. So anyway, let's move on.
So ends the match. We will move on. Yes, Iliman Ndiaye scoring from the spot to equalise. We're going to take a break now. More react. I know you haven't wanted to count your chickens and say that Everton are safe, but 15 points above the relegation zone now. Shelley, it's okay now?
Yeah, I think we're getting much closer. But again, until it's mathematically possible, then we have to make sure that we don't say too much. But let's be fair, it'll be very hard for the other sides to get to where we are now.
Is it still the case that you're not going to visit the new stadium until it's mathematically safe?
I'm planning to go and visit this week. I hope I'm not counting my chickens, but I'll try and go down this week and start to see how it's looking and maybe what we need to do as well.
What do you think of the performance today, especially the way your team came out at the start of that second half?
Well, I thought our performance in the first half looked like we had a game on the Wednesday night and Arsenal had a day extras recovery. I thought we were really poor in the first half, incredibly poor decisions at times. But I thought the second half we got about them a little bit at half time and expected more from them. And whether it was good fortune or whatever, we got a penalty early on which settled us down a little bit more. So much happier with how we performed the second half. Look, we always had to make it difficult for Arsenal. We couldn't come here and probably go toe-to-toe and play a nice pure football game with them. We had to make it as tough as we possibly could.
Would you put the start or the first half down to potentially the quick turnaround? Obviously two really tough games.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's not something we've been used to here as often. There's many clubs do. Arsenal for one, and certainly all the teams who are in European football have got it near enough every week. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I think it could have been part of the reason why we had a slow start today.
Just looking here, what you've done since you've been here. I mean, Sean Dyche did a good job, as I'm sure you'll say too. But you took that baton and you took it on and took it to another level. What you've done in this remarkable, in this short space of time. Is it surprised you, even you, that how quickly that you've turned this around? Because you must have been concerned. You wouldn't, on your legacy, you wouldn't want. You've done a great job here 11 years ago. You come back and suddenly you think, hold on, I don't want to get this wrong. But it's been an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, thank you for that. Look, I agree. I mean, when I was getting the job, I was saying, my goodness, if I take Everton down, this will be absolute disaster. New stadium. I'm saying I don't know where I'm going to live. Never mind anything else, But. Look, it came around, and actually the big thing is the players have really responded well. And we'd gone from everybody saying, no, we don't make any chances, we're not scoring any goals. We've started to go to look as if we're a threat. Even today in the first half, I didn't think we played particularly well, but we still had a threat. We still looked on a couple of occasions that we were getting close to getting a goal. So for me, that's the biggest thing, that we've started to look as if we're a bit more, I'm not going to say exciting, but we're a bit more likely to score than we have been.
Do you think Ndiaye sort of encapsulates that more than any other player? Because he looked a bit lost, and suddenly you've given him a role out of possession. So you pull him back into midfield, to form the two when a midfield player comes out and presses.
Yeah.
And then when he gets it, he runs with it, and he seems to be much better in possession these days. He's making better decisions.
Look, we're trying to become a side who we can have more of the ball. We're trying every day. We train every day to retain possession better, make better chances. But there's also a DNA in the club here, which you'll know from years gone by. This has been a club that's had big centre forwards and played up to them and round them. And the stadium as well has got a little bit of looking for that type of play as well. So we're trying to mix it up a little bit, but you're right, the boys in the midfield are doing much better, and I think they're taking the ball and trying to play more.
In fairness, Beto is another one, isn't he? He looks transformed. He's a real handful.
Yeah, I mean, look, you wouldn't. There's things about him what has to improve, and everybody can see that. But both the three of us, all being central defenders, would know. You can see would have our hands full with it. You would have a game. You might be thinking that there's other parts.
Well, you're looking at what he can do rather than what he can't do.
Of course, and he was a threat even to the centre halves today against them.
He was, yeah.
David, we heard from you before the game when you were talking to some fans and you said your aim is to take Everton back into Europe. How realistic is that, and can you put any sort of time frame on it?
No, I think when I was at West Ham, I've now got that thought that, hey, we had a year where we had to avoid a relegation, and next year we found ourselves qualifying for Europe, partly probably because of the man who played for Arsenal today in Declan Rice, was probably a big part of that as well. Maybe a bit to do with COVID as well might have given us that opportunity at the time. But I have to say that I think Everton need to be a club who's trying to shoot for the stars if we can. Now, obviously, this week we've played Liverpool and Arsenal, who are way better than us in footballing terms. But I think in both games we've tried to make it as equal as we can, tried to get something out of it. We need to bring in some more quality players if we can do that to add to the squad we've got. And if we do that, I hope I can keep building. And if the run we've been on at the moment, if we can keep it going, we're probably up with some of the best teams in the Premier League at the moment.
David, thank you for coming up to join us. We've